I, Katherine of Aragon, came into this world on December 16, 1485, in Alcalá de Henares, Spain. From my earliest days, I was surrounded by privilege and the promise of a bright future. My parents, King Ferdinand II of Aragon and Queen Isabella I of Castile, were powerful monarchs who believed in educating their children, regardless of gender. My childhood was marked by an excellent education, one that encompassed not only the arts and sciences, but also languages. My parents believed in preparing me for whatever lay ahead, and little did I know just how vital that education would become. At the tender age of 16, I left my beloved Spain and journeyed to England to fulfill my destiny. I was betrothed to Arthur, Prince of Wales, the heir to the English throne. Our wedding was a grand affair, filled with celebration and hope. But alas, our happiness was short-lived, as Arthur passed away just 6 months into our marriage, leaving me in a precarious position. The winds of fate blew me into another path when Henry VII, Arthur's father, suggested that I marry his younger son Henry, who would later become the infamous Henry VIII. This union was not without its controversies, as some questioned the validity of my previous marriage to Arthur. But with the blessing of a papal dispensation, Henry and I were wed in 1509. Our marriage spanned over 2 decades and brought forth several children, though only our daughter Mary survived infancy. I took my role as queen consort seriously, with a sense of duty that matched my intelligence and devotion. I supported Henry's reign and his diplomatic endeavors with unwavering commitment. As the years passed, Henry's desire for a male heir grew more urgent. His infatuation with Anne Boleyn and my inability to provide him with a son led to a crisis in our marriage. Henry sought an annulment of our union, invoking religious arguments against it. Yet I stood firm, refusing to accept the annulment, maintaining that my marriage to Arthur had never been consummated, rendering my marriage to Henry valid in the eyes of the Church. This unwavering conviction plunged me into a bitter and protracted legal battle with the Catholic Church. I faced the wrath of the king and the tumultuous winds of political change as Henry broke with the Catholic Church, creating the Church of England with himself at its helm. He married Anne Boleyn, and I was stripped of my titles and position as queen consort. My later years were marked by isolation, away from my beloved daughter, Mary. But my faith remained unshaken, as did my belief in the legitimacy of my marriage to Henry. I spent my final days, until my death on January 7, 1536, at the age of 50, holding true to my principles and faith. My legacy lives on through my daughter, Mary Worst, who became the first queen regnant of England. My story, one of determination and grace in the face of adversity, continues to inspire generations, reminding all that even in the darkest hours, one can find strength and resolve to stand for what they believe in. If you enjoyed this video, please leave us a comment telling us your thoughts. Share our videos with your family and friends. Until next time, take good care of yourself. Greetings! My name is Anne Boleyn. I was born in the early 16th century. I was the daughter of Sir Thomas Boleyn and Lady Elizabeth Howard. I spent my formative years in Netherlands and France, where I received an education befitting of a noblewoman. I returned to England in the early 1520s and caught the eye of King Henry VIII, who was married to Katherine of Aragon at the time. Henry's desire to annul his marriage and marry me led to a political and religious crisis in England, ultimately resulting in the English Reformation. In 1533, our marriage was declared valid, and I was crowned Queen of England. I gave birth to a daughter who would later become Queen Elizabeth I. However, my inability to provide a male heir led to my downfall. In 1536, I was arrested on charges of adultery, incest, and treason. I was found guilty and subsequently executed by beheading on May 19, 1536. My death marked a significant turning point in history, as it paved the way for Henry's subsequent marriages and the establishment of the Church of England. My legacy endured through my daughter, Queen Elizabeth I, who presided over England's golden age. Elizabeth's reign saw remarkable cultural and political achievements, making me a symbol of resilience and influence even after my tragic end. In retrospect, my life was a complex tapestry of ambition, love, and political maneuvering. While my marriage to Henry was brief, my impact on the course of English history was profound. My history continues to fascinate and captivate people today, as I remain a symbol of the enduring power of the human spirit in the face of adversity. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and join our channel so that you don't miss any new uploads, and leave a comment telling whose next historical figure's story do you want to hear?
I am Jane Seymour, and I am honored to share my story with you today. Born on October 24th, 1508 in Wolfhall, England, I came into this world as the daughter of Sir John Seymour and Marjorie Wentworth. My life's journey would take me from the quiet countryside to the tumultuous court of King Henry VIII, where I would play a pivotal role in history. My early years were spent in relative obscurity, as my family lived in the picturesque Wolfhall Manor. I received a solid education, as was expected of a noblewoman, learning to read, write, and manage a household. Little did I know that these skills would one day be put to the test in the grandest court in England. In 1525, my life took a significant turn when I became a lady-in-waiting to Queen Katherine of Aragon, the first wife of King Henry VIII. I witnessed firsthand the tensions and turmoil that brewed at the Tudor court, as the king sought to annul his marriage to Katherine in pursuit of a male heir. It was during this time that my path crossed with the king's. In 1536, Henry VIII set his sights on me. His previous marriages had been marked by divorce, death, and a split from the Catholic Church, and he was determined to find a queen who could give him a male heir. I was not only a lady of grace and charm, but also known for my demure nature, a refreshing contrast to his previous wives. On May 30th, 1536, just days after Anne Boleyn's execution, I became Henry's third wife. My marriage to King Henry was characterized by hope and the promise of a new beginning. Unlike my predecessors, I was able to provide Henry with the one thing he desired most: a son. On October 12th, 1537, I gave birth to Edward, the future King Edward VI. It was a moment of great joy for the kingdom, and for me personally. However, my happiness was short-lived. Just days after giving birth to Edward, I fell gravely ill. Despite the best efforts of the physicians, I succumbed to postnatal complications on October 24th, 1537, my 29th birthday. My death was a devastating blow to Henry, who mourned the loss of the wife who had given him his long-awaited heir. Though my time on earth was brief, my legacy endured through my son Edward, who would go on to become one of England's most famous monarchs. King Edward VI's reign brought about significant religious reform, as he championed the Protestant Reformation in England. In closing, my life was marked by duty, devotion, and the role I played in England's tumultuous history. I may have been a brief figure in the grand tapestry of the Tudor dynasty, but the son I gave to England left a lasting mark on the nation. I am remembered not only as King Henry VIII's third wife, but as the mother of the boy who became King Edward VI, shaping the course of England's religious history. My life may have ended prematurely, but my place in history endures, and I am proud to have played a part in the story of England's monarchy. If you liked my story, please leave us a comment telling us what are your thoughts. Share our video with your family and friends. Until next time, take good care of yourself.
I am Anne of Cleaves, a name that history often remembers as the Forgotten Queen or the lucky fourth wife of King Henry VIII. Allow me to share my story in my own words, shedding light on the life I led, the challenges I faced, and the remarkable twists of fate that led me to become a Queen of England. I was born on September 22nd, 1515, in Düsseldorf, Germany, the daughter of John III, Duke of Cleaves, and Maria of Jülichberg. My early years were marked by a comfortable upbringing in the heart of the Holy Roman Empire. Little did I know that my life would soon intersect with the tumultuous world of English royalty. In 1539, when I was just 23 years old, negotiations for a marriage alliance between England and Cleves began. King Henry VIII, a man of notorious reputation, was seeking a new wife after his marriage to Anne Boleyn had been annulled. Eager to secure a political alliance, my family agreed to the match, and I embarked on a journey to a foreign land. Upon arriving in England, I faced a culture shock like no other. The grandeur of the English court was unlike anything I had experienced in Cleves. The people, the language, the customs, all were foreign to me. My first meeting with King Henry VIII, whom I had only heard stories about, was a moment of great anticipation and anxiety. As we stood before each other, I saw a man much older and heavier than I had imagined. Our marriage took place on January 6, 1540, in a lavish ceremony. However, our union quickly unraveled. Henry found me physically unattractive, and we had little in common. Our marriage was never consummated, which would later become a crucial point in our separation. In 1540, just 6 months after our marriage, Henry sought an annulment, citing my lack of physical appeal. My marriage to the king was dissolved, and I was granted a generous settlement, including properties, a handsome income, and the title of the king's sister. I bore no ill will toward Henry for our annulment, as it allowed me to live a comfortable life without the burdens of courtly duties. Despite my short-lived marriage to Henry, I found solace in my new life in England. I developed genuine friendships with my fellow queens, especially Catherine Parr, Henry's 6th wife, who became a dear companion. I also cultivated a love for English culture, art, and music. After Henry's death in 1547, I continued to live in England, enjoying my newfound freedom and wealth. I maintained a close relationship with my stepdaughter, Queen Mary Worst, who had a deep respect for me. Our bond grew stronger as I supported her during her tumultuous reign. In the end, I lived a long and content life, far removed from the intrigues and dangers of the Tudor court. I outlived Henry VIII, his wives, and even his children. My legacy is one of resilience, adaptability, and the ability to find happiness in unexpected places. Though history may remember me as the forgotten queen, I hope my story serves as a reminder that even in the most challenging circumstances, one can find strength and purpose. I am Anne of Cleaves, and this is my life, lived on my terms, far beyond the confines of a failed marriage and a foreign land. If you liked my story, please leave us a comment down below telling us what are your thoughts. Subscribe and share my story with your family and friends. Until next time, take good care of yourself. My name is Katherine Howard, and I was the 5th wife of King Henry VIII of England, reigning from 1540 to 1541. My story is one of both privilege and tragedy, a tale of youth, beauty, and ultimately, a fatal fall from grace. I was born around 1523, the daughter of Lord Edmund Howard, a younger son of the Duke of Norfolk, a powerful noble family. My early life was filled with promise, growing up in the care of my step-grandmother, the Dowager Duchess of Norfolk, who provided me with an education befitting a lady of noble birth. However, my family faced financial difficulties, and when I reached my teenage years, they decided to send me to the household of my step-grandmother's brother, Thomas Howard, Duke of Norfolk, to be a lady-in-waiting to Anne of Cleaves, King Henry's 4th wife. It was in the royal court that I met King Henry VIII, a man notorious for his many wives and his tumultuous relationships. At the age of 17, I caught the eye of the aging king, who was nearly 4 decades my senior. He was captivated by my youth and beauty, and in 1540, we were married in a lavish ceremony at Hampton Court Palace. As queen, I was surrounded by opulence and luxury. However, I was ill-prepared for the role, lacking the education and maturity necessary to navigate the treacherous political waters of the Tudor court. I was also known for my flirtatious nature, which had attracted the king but would ultimately lead to my downfall. Rumors of my past relationships and affairs began to circulate, and it was revealed that I had engaged in a romantic liaison with a courtier named Thomas Culpeper, and had been previously involved with another man, Francis Derham. These indiscretions were brought to the attention of the king, who was devastated by the betrayal. In November 1541, my secret life was exposed, and I was arrested for treason. Despite my pleas for mercy, I was found guilty of adultery and condemned to death. My marriage to King Henry VIII was annulled, and I was executed by beheading on February 13, 1542, at the young age of 19. My brief reign as queen and my tragic end have left a lasting mark on history. I am often remembered as a naive and ill-fated young woman, a victim of both my own actions and the ruthless politics of the Tudor court. My story serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers that could befall those who found themselves entangled in the complex web of Henry VIII's marital desires. In my short life, I experienced the heights of privilege and the depths of despair, making me one of the most infamous queens in English history. My legacy lives on as a testament to the perils of courtly life and the consequences of youthful indiscretion in the turbulent times of the Tudor era. If you liked my story, please subscribe and leave us a comment down below telling us what are your thoughts. Share my story with your family and friends. Until next time, take good care of yourself. I was born in 1512 in Kendal, Westmoreland, England, to Sir Thomas Parr and Maud Green, a family of noble descent. My early years were marked by the privilege of education, which was unusual for women of my time. My father, a loyal supporter of the Tudor dynasty, ensured that I received an excellent education focusing on literature, religion, and the arts. As I grew, I developed a strong interest in religious matters. My faith in God became a central aspect of my life. My studies and religious beliefs laid the foundation for my later role as the sixth and final wife of King Henry VIII. Little did I know that my life would take such a remarkable turn. At the age of 17, I entered into my first marriage with Sir Edward Berg, a marriage arranged by our families. Tragically, Sir Edward passed away in 1533, leaving me a widow at a young age. I was married for just a few years and was left with the responsibility of managing the Berg estates. Soon after, I found love once again, marrying John Neville, 3rd Baron Latimer, in 1534. Our union brought me not only love, but also a stepson, John Neville, and the responsibilities of managing the Latimer estates. During this time, I embraced the Protestant Reformation, which was sweeping across Europe. It was a risky path to follow, as the religious climate in England was tumultuous due to the king's break with the Catholic Church. In 1543, my world was forever altered when King Henry VIII expressed his desire to make me his sixth wife. I was reluctant, for I had already been married twice, and I knew the king had a history of disposing of his wives, but I had little choice but to accept. On July 12, 1543, we were married at Hampton Court Palace, and I became Queen of England. My time as queen was marked by a deep commitment to my role and a desire to support the king in his efforts to establish a stable and united England. I was known for my intelligence and my support for religious reform. During my time as queen, I played a vital role in educating the future Queen Elizabeth I, who would become one of England's most revered monarchs. My religious convictions also led me to publish a book, Prayers or Meditations, which was the first book written by an English queen. In it, I expressed my Protestant beliefs and emphasized the importance of personal faith and devotion to God. My writings were well received and reflected the changing religious landscape of England. Unfortunately, my marriage to Henry VIII was not without challenges. The king's health was deteriorating rapidly, and he had a fiery temper. He became suspicious of my religious beliefs, which had grown more Protestant over time. This made me a target for his wrath, as he had a history of dealing harshly with those who disagreed with him. Thankfully, King Henry passed away on January 28, 1547, putting an end to my time as queen. I was widowed once more, but this time I had survived the tumultuous reign of a monarch known for his marital difficulties. My religious beliefs and writings had likely been a source of tension, but they also provided me with a sense of purpose and identity during those challenging years. After the king's death, I married my fourth and final husband, Thomas Seymour, 1st Baron Seymour of Sudeley, in 1547. Tragically, our marriage was short-lived, as I died after giving birth to my only child, a daughter named Mary Seymour, in 1548. I was just 36 years old. My brief yet eventful life was marked by multiple marriages, a devotion to religious reform, and the privilege of serving as the sixth and final wife of King Henry VIII. While my name is often overshadowed by the more famous Tudor queens, I hope that my role in the English Reformation and my commitment to my beliefs are not forgotten. My writings continue to be studied, and my story serves as a testament to the resilience of a woman in a tumultuous period of English history. If you liked my story, please subscribe and leave us a comment telling us what are your thoughts. Share my story with your family and friends. Until next time, take good care of yourself.